Welcome once again at Kopi with Vans. That's right. This is your host Vans here, and I'm very excited to be here on a Wednesday, 9 p.m. All the busy schedules are just kept aside, and I'm here on a great topic on nutrition confusion. And today, our guest speaker is Derrick Ong, is the founder and principal of Dietitian and at Eat Right Nutrition Consultancy. So let's get Mr. Derrick on board. Mr. Derrick, how are you there?
Good. How are you? How are you,
I
Vance?
am good. It's been a couple of months since we met in Kopi Vans,
Yes,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
I think it's at least about 6 months.
Yeah. I think was later half of last year. Definitely. Yeah. I think probably
Thank
it
you,
was
Derrick. For I know
September. Yeah.
you just literally didn't jump into your seat, but basically you were just continuing your Zoom session followed by your consultancy, you have a busy day today.
Yes. Yeah. But it's all in the day's work. So I was in hospital earlier seeing patients, and then I had a Zoom meeting attend, and then here I am today. Here.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for all the viewers who are just joining in. Yes, today's the topic is about nutrition confusion. Always we are talking about diet. And then when we hear the word diet, people are just scared. When we talk
Mm,
about nutrition, it's not the mee goreng and kway teow goreng or the chicken rice. I mean, that's what you're going to talk about today. But Derek, before we even start on, I'm going to give
yeah.
you a great appreciation and a full of
Mm,
gratitude because the month of March belongs to the dietitian. So 9th of
that's
March
right.
is the
Yeah.
dietitian. So we are going to celebrate the month of March for the dietitian and the nutritionist. Thank you, Derek, for being a dietitian and taking care of many people who approach you for your assistance.
Thank you, and also to all my other fellow dietitians and nutritionists. Putting in a lot of hard work, especially during this time of COVID. I think just want to also extend appreciation to them as well. So people don't hear much about Dietitians Day because actually it's primarily celebrated in the US. Yeah, but we kind of sort of piggyback on that over here lah. Yeah, so it's
And you said
nice.
it well, Derek, because we are going to give the appreciation to all the dietitian and the nutritionists out there to
Yes.
celebrate them, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to be.
Yes.
Derek, we are going to jump into the topic right now because I know
Mm.
we have literally prepared some of the questions that the viewers has asked us
Yes.
and
Yes. Yep.
continuity of the second time that you are coming in. I'm
Mm.
just going to jump into straight to the
Yep.
questions.
Mm.
Um, when we talk about diet, all right, when we talk
Yep.
about diet, word diet scares a lot of people, to be very honest.
Yeah.
And then you hear these very often people say, hey, I'm going on a diet. I'm going to diet. And then
Mm.
when you ask them, they say that they are going into some kind of keto diets or Atkins diet or the
Yeah.
IF or I'm only
Mm.
drinking water. And some even saying
Mm.
that I'm just going on a supplementations. So it's so
Mm.
many diet varieties.
Yeah.
What would be the best one for me, Derek?
Yeah. So I mean, in the first place, I don't actually like the word going on a diet because it implies something restrictive or something not out of ordinary. Yeah. Of course, I call myself a dietitian, you see. So uh, that's what I do. But when the patient really says I'm going on a diet, so I get a bit worried sometimes, you see. So a diet that we want to focus on, again, there is no one size fits all. Really depends on medical condition, what your health goals are. Um, and for the diets that you mentioned, they could work for a certain time. A keto diet does, has been shown to does, it can help you lose some body fat. IF, some people use it successfully to lose weight, so it does work. But the thing is it sustainable? That's the main thing. Is it sustainable? Is it something you can stick to in the long run? So a diet that is, so first of all, you have to ask yourself that question: is it sustainable? Second thing, is it safe? Is the diet safe? Will you end up getting some kind of deficiency or excess of certain nutrients? See, so that's the next thing you've really got to ask. Yeah. So and really, and also in line with your health goals. So we don't generally try to go for anything too extreme for too long a time because we know the body doesn't really like that. Yeah, so we tend to go for a more balanced approach. Yeah, yeah. Although it may
Derek,
sound a
just to
bit
build
boring, like yeah.
build on that,
Mm,
to build on that, when we talk about diet, people are just referring to Google Guru, and they're just
Yes.
literally
Yeah.
jumping into. And even right
Yeah.
now, as we in the show of a nutrition confusion, a
Yes.
lot of believers, right? Some believe only ketos. I ever these
Yeah.
couple of questions that
Mm,
always come to me. Why are we only talking about keto? Why are we not talking about Atkins? I'm only drinking loose. So you see, with so many varieties and variation on people
mm,
aspect, being a
mm,
dietitian, what is the
mm.
challenges that you face? Because if I come to you and if I'm a
Yeah.
die-hard Atkins follower,
Yeah.
you are going to give it to me, and I'm definitely going to disagree. So with this mindset, do you think this ever can be get evolved in terms of we need to listen to the experts? Because you guys literally study for years and years and years with a lot of experiment and research done before you
Mm.
hold on to the word dietitian, the title, right? And
That's
nutritionist as
right.
well. So is it really tough to be a dietitian or nutritionist, Derek?
Um, I would say yes. It sometimes so occasionally, actually quite a number of times, I get challenged. And with things like this, you see, I'm a diehard believer in Atkins or IF and stuff like that. So rather than to say that's wrong or whatever, this is the right way. I ask why. Why do they believe in certain things? How has it worked for them? And then I just try to like go trying to go from their viewpoint. What are the key things that they find useful? And then from there I try to talk to them about, okay, this may be good, but in the long run, what are the long-term side effects, and then having them to think a little bit about that. So we call this, there's a term we call it rolling with resistance. Yeah. So sometimes that's how you kind of like win people over. You may not be able to um, agree in everything. We say, we agree to disagree, but then we still keep a kind of relationship, but I respect the other person. Yeah. So in this day and age, because we all have access to so much knowledge,
Yep.
sometimes I would say too much knowledge, and sometimes too much knowledge is not a good thing, because then you get confused, and that's why we're talking about nutrition confusion. So who should you be listening to? You see, yeah, should you be listening to that, you know fitness influencer who has 50,000 followers? Is just because he's got more followers, he or she's got more followers, that's then when they say that everything he says is true and true for me. So then that's when we have to start to question, to see how do we weigh evidence, and who should we be listening to, you see. Yeah.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
As
Mm.
we further on to the more questions to come by, and viewers
Yes.
watching this, please do share and like so that more people can get aware of this topic of nutrition confusion. It's always in the market,
Mm.
especially when someone puts on weight. They say, "I'm going on a diet." Um, Honestly speaking, Derek, I actually don't like the word diet because
Mm.
diet means you're going into a very strict momentum. I think we should have
Mm.
a great food balance. I think when a professional come and see you, you actually look at
Yeah.
them based on their weight,
Mm.
their height, whether they
Yeah.
have any medical conditions, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
you do a research on them, and basically you draft out a program for them in their diet. I
Yeah.
think that is will be the proper guidance.
Sure. Yeah.
Not just when we first hear things about I'm going on a diet, the first thing they do is I cut down sugar, I cut down carbohydrates.
Yeah.
But
That's right. Yeah.
carbohydrates, is it a very important essential for our human body?
Yes, it definitely is, because carbs are. I mean, it's for basic um, metabolic functioning. Because if you think about it, our cells, they rely on glucose, to survive, and then our brain relies exclusively on glucose. You see, so the thing is, people who go on very low carb diets, it does work for a while, but then it's eventually the brain function starts to get affected. You see, so like for instance, some of my I know we're talking about manhunt a bit later, but some of my fellow manhunt finalists, they went into one of them in particular went into a quite extreme sort of cutting out all carbs, and then he started feeling really very very lousy. You see, yeah, and it affected his mental function. You see, so I told him, bro, you got to add some, like good carbs in, says like the low GI carbs, like the brown rice, sweet potatoes, stuff like that. And then he felt much better. Yeah. Yeah, so there is, there's some misconceptions, and everything you do has a price to pay. Yeah, so there's yeah.
Okay, Derek, I'm going to
Yeah,
flash. I'm going to
yeah,
flash something up for yourself with the boxes.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, fine.
yeah,
So as we are in the topic of a nutrition confusion, I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure I have seen some of your posts in your stories, in your
yeah, yeah,
Instagrams.
yeah, yeah.
Very inspiring because later we are going to share some of the pictures of the food that
Yes.
you actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Being a dietitian with so many years of experiences, when
yeah,
you apply to your own self
yeah.
during this competition,
Yeah.
was it pretty easy, or do you find it was it manageable? Because you are fine tuning yourself.
Yes.
How
Yep.
was the experience?
Yep. So for myself, because my main goal during for Manhunt was actually to put on muscle mass. Because I already had I think a pretty decent kind of body fat level. Yeah. So the meeting was really to put on muscle mass, and so instead of cutting down, I actually ate more. Yeah, overall, and ate more meals. So I actually increased calorie intake, and to also increase exercise to build muscle. See, yeah. And then of course protein increase as well. So for me, I just did what I usually do, but more of what I usually do. So it wasn't too difficult. I didn't want to go anything too restrictive. I just added a little more, and just determined to enjoy the process as well. Yeah, yeah. So that was
Thank you,
it. Yeah,
Derek.
yeah,
One of the member actually agree with us. I think from one of our viewers, sorry, he said that
yeah,
same events. I don't like the word diet, such a negative connotations. But Derek, I know it's going to be tough because when
yeah,
people come to you and then I'm a guy who loves my chocolates, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
when I post on my Insta, people are like, oh, you are a coach, you shouldn't be eating, or you are a
mm,
doctor. I mean, we love food. I mean, that is a fact, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but in certain conditions like a diabetes or whether the
mm,
person has a high cholesterol,
yeah,
then your
yeah.
work becomes very important and urgent as well, right? I mean, when you
Sure.
need to
Yes.
fine tune it. And if for me, if like say I love my chocolates, how are you going to change me? I say no, I am going to eat my chocolates.
Yeah. So I would say go ahead and enjoy chocolates. Yeah. So, but do it in a different way. So instead of say if you eat chocolates, let's say you finish whole entire bar of chocolate, or like you um maybe can we maybe portion size it, maybe just to one roll, and then you eat it slowly and you enjoy it. Yeah, because a lot of times why we want certain treats, or chocolates, or it can be anything, cakes or whatever. I have a certain weakness, for certain kinds of pastries, even myself. See, so I post things on my Instagram, like a beautiful chocolate tart. You see, but then I talk about it. What is your relationship with food? Do I see it as a friend or an enemy? You see, yeah. And what is the relationship with myself? So a lot of people don't have a good relationship with food, and then they end up not having good relationship with themselves and their body. So there's this whole complex things with body image. Okay, that's another whole separate topic. You can talk about it. But if you want a chocolate, yes, you have your chocolate. Portion size it, eat it slowly, mindfully, enjoy, no guilt. Yeah. So we believe no guilt in eating. Yeah, we
You
should
know,
we
you know
should
something. I
never
got to
feel
say this at
guilty.
this
Yeah,
point of time,
yeah.
Derek. I got to say this at this point of time.
Mm.
People are going to love you. People are going to love you, sure,
Yeah.
because you're saying that we should be eating, but in a very nice, certain calibrated manner that you have just
Yes.
explained to the members. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Derek, I mean, if let's say if I want to find certain details, I mean, of course,
Mm.
we got to agree
Yeah.
that we go to Google, right? And
Yeah.
then everything is there literally, right? Even
Yeah.
after 1 month, they can call themselves dietitian or nutritionist because they get
Yeah.
all this information and say, no, you should be eating these. No, you should be taking iron and banana and potassium. All these
Yeah.
things comes up. But with
Yeah.
such a information in the social media or even
Mm.
in the
Mm.
net,
Mm.
where do you think if someone wants to get a basic information and look for credible sources of
Yeah.
nutrition information, where they can go?
Yeah. Yeah. So credible sources. So Google, you can go to that, but actually, I prefer actually another version of Google called Google Scholar. There's another version which is more scholarly, more that's more for if you want to do kind of research, you want to look up some serious research papers. That's if you go the academic route. But if you can't be bothered to go and read all those papers, and then you look at certain reputable government bodies. Okay, so there are many around. So in Singapore, we've got Singapore Health Promotion Board, MOH, and then overseas, you've got the US has got the famous Mayo Clinic. Harvard has the School of Public Health, National Institute of Health, and then you've got all the different nutrition and dietetic associations. You've got Singapore Nutrition Dietetic Association, British Dietetic Association, Academy of Nutrition Dietetics in the US. Yeah, so these are quite credible sources of information. Yeah, so that's the thing. You see, now I'm not against social media influencers. Yeah, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is rubbish, but when you do follow someone, it might be good to check out their credentials. Yeah, what kind of training have they got? Have they got some serious training in nutrition and dietetics, or in some areas? See, and then and so you kind of know where they're coming from. You see, so, and again, nowadays anyone can call themselves a nutrition influencer. Yeah, or they took
Yeah.
an online course and say, I'm a nutritionist, but go look, ask for their credentials, which university you will go to, what's your training, and so there are a lot of good stuff out there. There's I use the hashtag dietitians of Instagram. Yeah, so there is a whole community out there of dietitians using Instagram to promote knowledge about nutrition. Yeah, so you can, for instance, you can just use certain kinds of hashtags. Yeah.
Derek, thanks for that. And we are now seeing some of the food, right? That is, I believe this is your manhunt preparation. So maybe you want to talk a
Actually,
little bit of this, Derek?
well, actually, it's actually, this is food actually more for my um this was actually the food I was taking during COVID recovery. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
But
COVID
actually,
recovery. Okay.
it's actually not too different from what I normally eat anyway in preparation for manhunt. So again, we emphasize on balance. Okay, balance. So again, you notice I've got the carbs there. I've got of course I use brown rice. Yeah, so there's the higher fiber carb. Okay, slow release, low GI. And then I've got the meat over there. Okay, on the top left, the protein to build the muscle, and then I've got the veggies and different cuts of veggies. So this is a typical what I call balanced meal, lah, that I'll eat normally. So it helped me in preparation for manhunt, and it definitely helped me a lot when I was recovering from COVID as well. Yeah. So again, another example, the veggies, the brown rice, and then that's a fish soup. Okay. Yeah. So it's always a protein, veggie, and then a low GI carb. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds really simple, but then sometimes it's doing the consistent thing, but doing consistency, but having variety in consistency. Notice I don't eat the same vegetable all the time. I don't eat the same kind of protein all the time. The only thing the same is actually the brown rice. Yeah. So
But look, it looks
yeah,
very tasty, Derek. I got to say that
it
because it looks
is.
very yummy and
Yes, yes.
yeah, but it's not that bad, right? I mean, when we look at the
No, it's not.
content, what are we
Yeah.
seeing here right now, Derek? What are we seeing
So
here?
this is a noodle. Yeah, noodles with veggies, chicken breast, and then in a broth, and then with chilies and lime. Yeah, and then lime is just going to give a nice sour taste, and also acidity also helps to lower the glycemic index of a food. Yeah. So, and then I was having barley as well. So this was one of my COVID recovery foods actually. Yeah, it's nice to have a hot soup and stuff like that. So yeah.
Derek,
Yeah.
I've been in the fitness industry for more than 23 years. I got to be very
Yeah.
honest with you. When
Yeah.
preparation comes in, I mean, there are different
Yeah.
preparation. I've seen
Yeah.
varieties of reasons.
Yeah.
People going through a big highs and lows in their
Mm,
diets.
mm,
When
mm.
someone say goes on a diet, and usually what
Yeah.
I've done, perhaps I can share this with you.
Sure.
This happened about a few years back, and I told
Mm.
myself that I'm going on a diet. I'm going to go on a
Yeah.
complete crash on zero
Mm.
sugar diet.
Okay.
So which means that I'm eliminating all kind of sugars in my diet for the next 14 days.
Mm. Okay.
Derek, to be honest and to be very truthful, on the seventh day, I was driving my petrol, the petrol in my tank is full, but automatically I turn into the petrol station. I don't know why. I stopped. I went in, opened the refrigerator. I took out a can. There's bottles, but I want a can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took a can. It's full of sugar. I
Uh-huh.
don't want to say the name. I bring it
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
I open it up.
Yeah.
The feeling, the visual, and the
Mm.
smell and the
Yeah.
hearing. And I drank
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Then only I got my control back. So what is happening here, Derek? What exactly has happened? I did a 14 days diet. On the
Sure.
seventh day, I just screwed it. Why is that so?
So it, you see, sometimes they say, the forbidden food or the forbidden fruit tastes sweeter. You see, so in a sense, when you went on a restriction, it set yourself up for craving. You see, you see, it set yourself for craving, and then when you kind of gave in your cravings and you felt lousy. But remember, we're talking about guilt, right? Um, why do we need to do that? Why do we need to go into this whole set yourself up for craving and then go guilt and then to heck with it, and then after I'll go into a rubbish thing way of eating, and then it doesn't help, you see. Yeah. So rather than depriving yourself of the sugar, but then it says, let's look, what where is the sugar in my diet, the refined sugar, then how can I maybe reduce it? Okay. So instead of having the this uh, you know um, sugared beverage, maybe like every day, maybe I'll cut down to maybe twice a week or something, or use a sugar-free substitute, something like that. So rather than completely cutting it off, yeah, going like maybe it's almost like going like a cold turkey. Yeah. It's the same thing, for instance, with anything like like smoking cessation. It's we do a sort of gradual kind of a stepwise reduction rather than just cutting it totally lah. Yeah, I mean, some people could do it, but it doesn't necessarily work for everyone, you see. Yeah, it's a slow reduction, you see. Yeah. And it's sort of changing habits. So that's the thing, when you shocking the body into something doesn't always work. Yeah, not everyone necessarily has that willpower to kind of say, okay, I'm not going to do that. And in the first place, why do you need to do that? You see, yeah. Why are we setting ourselves up for failure? See, when or guilt. See, and then so why are we punishing ourselves that way? Why are we treating our bodies ourselves that way? And then which brings us to another question: how do we see ourselves? What is our relationship with food? Yeah, what is your relationship with your body? I keep on going back to that again and again because I realize a lot of people do not have a good relationship with their bodies. They do not have a good relationship with food. They have a love-hate relationship, and then eventually it affects their self-esteem. You see, yeah. So the three things are actually very closely related to each other. Yeah. So it's about the psychology of eating and food. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I'm trying to understand. You are
Mm.
mixing love with food. That we
Yes.
need to love our food. Is that right,
Yes.
Derek?
Yes. You need to love your food, and I mean, I love my food. We live in Singapore. We live in a food paradise. We have access to the varieties of food that is other people will be envious about. We live in a food paradise. We should be enjoying the variety of food that we have, you see, but in a sort of in a measured way, and with treats, and with balance, but keeping your core. You know what your core should be. Like 87 70 80% of the time, you should be meeting what your requirements are, and then 20 30% of the time you give yourself a bit of treats. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be 100% one way, 100% all strict, and then you need to have a cheat day or whatever. I mean, again, why do we need a cheat day or cheat meal? I mean, already the word cheat, sounds as if you're like it seems to suggest, again, you're like cheating, or it leads to some guilt. Again, I don't like this, you see. Yeah, we need to change the conversation around eating and food, and for want of a better word, diet lah. Yeah, we really need to change that whole conversation. Yeah, so that's what I do. That's what a lot of my fellow nutritionists and dietitians are doing. We are trying to change the conversation around food, yeah, and around your
Well
body
said,
as well.
well said, Derek. I think the
Yeah.
psychology of hearing the word positively It's
Yes.
like telling a son, telling a dad that your son play a fantastic tennis, but he
Mm,
can improve by day. Eventually, he can be a great player. Using the choices of words, I think it plays a
yes.
very important part in your
Yes.
aspect of as a dietitian. Derek,
Yeah.
I'm going to jump into the next question. Of course, our viewers are welcome to ask questions and engage
Yeah.
Derek Ong, the founder and principal dietitian at Eat Right Nutrition Consultancy. He's here for the next 1 hour, so you can engage him. Derek, this is the next question that we are going to go in right now. How can I avoid foods that cause me to have uncomfortable syndromes?
Okay, so uncomfortable symptoms. I mean, there can be many kind of symptoms. So I assume you're talking about more uncomfortable, like gastro symptoms, like like what, probably bloating or pain and things like that. Um, so uh, so a lot of people have this, kind of uncomfortable symptoms, and some people have something called irritable bowel syndrome, okay, which is like that's a common condition, gas, bloating, pain, and then also with diarrhea, constipation, and all that. So sensitive gut. So we do have a very effective diet therapy, yeah, to actually control these symptoms. So we call it the low FODMAP diet. So okay, I'm just going to type it here. FODMAP. Yeah, yeah. So and so it's basically trying to limit the intake of certain sorts of sugars that are fermentable in our diet, and then so that you reduce the fermentation and reduce the gas production. Yeah, and then that will give quite a bit of relief lah. Yeah. So and these are actually very very common kinds of foods. Yeah. For instance, like your beans, your onions, garlic, certain kinds of fruits, milk, things like that. Very common foods. Again, we're not saying you can't eat these, but you got to maybe limit some of these. If you're going through a lot of kind of a bad flare up of some of these symptoms. Yeah, and then so see a lot of my patients come with IBS, and they help them through. We manage to get them to temporarily restrict some of these, and then their symptoms get better, and then later on we reintroduce them. We call it re-challenge, and then we see what level they can tolerate, so they can eat out normally as well. So at the end of the day, we want people to be able to have a certain sense of normality when they eat, rather than being totally restrictive for the rest of their life. So even in these sort of conditions, the restriction is just temporary, yeah, and then reintroduction, and then and it works, yeah. It's very very effective, yeah.
Derek, as we build on that particular question and even
Mm,
dive in deeper, do
yeah.
you think that in the Asia context,
Hmm.
that dietitian or the nutritionist is much needed as well as the exposure compared to Western countries? Because right now, if you look at here, everybody is becoming a guru in whatever as long they
Mm,
know their
yeah,
knowledge, they become a
yeah,
guru. So
yeah.
what sets apart, someone who's just looking through the net and getting all the information and trying on themselves? Are they
Mm,
putting themselves into malnutrition or dehydrated, or probably certain kind of minerals and vitamins are not there, maybe the iron or the
yeah,
potassium? Or is that
yeah.
could lead to a dangerous situation if they prolong this kind of diet on their own?
So definitely, I mean, there's a lot of this experimentation going on. Oh, I heard this diet works on this, so and so influencer. I'm going to try it, and then you try it, and then say, um you don't know what it works. I mean, if it works for one person, doesn't mean it works on another. So that's where we come to this thing about the role of genetics. I think previously, I think there was a question flash about the role of genetics in nutrition. So what works on one person may not work on another. Yeah. um and then there are some diets which totally won't work at all. Like for instance, like a water diet. That is probably the worst one. You're just drinking water. Basically you're starving yourself lah. Yeah. um but then there are some that possibly could work for a period of time for certain types of individuals, maybe a keto diet, maybe intermittent fasting. It could work, but then there are individual genetics at play, you see. So we don't have a one size fits all, see. So that's why it's it's kind of hard to kind of generalize. It says, oh, so because it works for that celebrity or that influencer, it should work for me. Yeah. So that is a very, very, very dangerous assumption. Yeah. So because you need to look at other factors. So genetics, one thing, your personal medical conditions and stuff like that. See, so that's why it's always important to again come back to the to the proper healthcare professionals, dietitians, nutritionists. We are here, we are here to guide you along the way. See, yeah,
Derek, it's a personal question so that our
yeah,
viewers
sure,
also may able to understand that, and probably they
sure,
already know it's not a rocket
yeah,
science. Nutrition
yeah,
is dietitian. Are they the
yeah.
same?
Yeah, so there is so some there's some differences. Okay, thanks for asking a question. So nutritionists will so both nutritionists and dietitians uh are similar in a sense that for general healthy population, um, a general balanced eating, and also for non-medical sorts of conditions like sports and stuff like that. Nutritionists, that's what they generally will do. Okay, yeah, in promotion of healthy eating, balanced diets, things like that. Um, Dietitians, so when it comes to medical conditions, though, so that's when the dietitians got to step in and then do, we call it medical nutrition therapy. So we have to manage medical conditions using food and nutrition as a therapy. So for instance, diabetes, yeah, or heart disease or kidney failure. And then we have to look at the disease aspect of it, yeah. And then that requires certain sort of clinical training as well, yeah. So I would say that's sort of the main difference, lah. But by and large, for the general healthy population, yeah, we can choose to see either a nutritionist or a dietitian. But once it gets to a bit more of a medical condition, that's when the dietitians have got to step in. Yeah,
Thank you, Derek. And
yeah,
thank you, viewers, who are watching this.
yeah.
On the topic of nutrition confusion by Derek Ong, dietitian as well. He's here to be in the next 30 minutes. So if you do have a question, please ask us or engage him. We are more than happy to answer those questions. Derek, we are going to the next particular question that we often hear in everywhere, right? Oh, we
Yeah.
should be eating 8 meals a day. Char kway teow, mee goreng, yong tau fu. What should we add? Burgers, hot dogs.
Yep.
That's already five. What's
Mm,
the three more? Uh, Fries,
yeah.
fried rice, and
Yeah.
noodles. So 8 meals. Is that right?
Okay. So so at the end of the day, again, if you're trying to keep to a calorie budget, I assume this is where the question is coming from, is someone who's trying to maybe maintain weight or trying to lose weight, or not gain too much weight. So it's interesting because during COVID time, a lot of people actually gained weight. And a lot of my patients, because they're all stuck at home, a bit bored, right? Then they started eating more. So they started eating more times in a day. And you just do the math, lah. You just eat more, your opportunities to get more calories increases, and so your overall daily calorie intake goes up. And is it any surprise then you exercise less? Because a lot of people actually became very sedentary. Is it any wonder you got calorie surplus, and then you gain weight? so so the question, how many times a day should I eat? Actually, it doesn't really matter. Some people do it three, some they do five smaller meals, as long as you keep to your calorie budget. Yeah. Some people just don't have the habit of eating multiple meals a day. Some people's lifestyle does not allow them to take multiple meals a day. Yeah, they just have three meals, or sometimes even two big meals. Of course, the less meals you have, the chances of not meeting your nutritional requirements goes up. Okay, whereas you've got more opportunities to eat, your chances of covering your bases goes higher. Yeah, there's a very popular diet now called the 1 meal a day diet. Okay, yeah, people only eat 1 meal a day. um I do not personally know how you can meet all your nutritional requirements in 1 meal, vitamins, minerals, and then the micros and macros all in 1 meal. You're definitely going to end up um you know, uh, deficient in some way, or you've got a very large stomach. It says, how do you possibly do that? You see, yeah. So that's the thing. You see, so it really doesn't matter as long as you keep to your calorie budget. Again, from a weight management perspective, of course, if you're trying to gain weight, which I was during, gain muscle mass, I had to eat more meals in a day. That was the only way I could increase my caloric intake and increase my protein and calories. You see, because I had a specific more thing in mind. You see. So I was eating up to like five times a day. Yeah.
And we also been seeing your Instagram post that you're always in the gym, yeah, for the past
Yeah. Yes.
during your
Gym.
preparation.
Your preparation. So not just gym. So that's the other thing also about in terms of exercise. I do a variety of exercises. So gym is one, and then I did so rock climbing and bouldering. But unfortunately, I had an accident, so that's why I had a finger injury here. You can read it on my IG post how I got the injury. And then I also do like running, swimming, and all that. So as with diet, so it is in exercise as well. Again, I'm not expert here in exercise, but I like to have a variety when I do exercise. Some cardio, some weight training, some skill-based training. Keeps me engaged and interested. Yeah. So I know there's some people who go to the gym like 5 times a week. God bless you. You can do that. I can't do that. Okay. I would get bored. Yeah. So I needed a variety of exercise. So during the preparation for Manhunt, so I did increase the number of times I went to exercise, and I did in more varieties of different sorts of exercises to keep me engaged. So exercise doesn't become a chore; it becomes an enjoyment. See, yeah. And then the process of gaining mass isn't a job; it becomes a joy. You see, yeah, because I enjoy
Well
doing what.
said, Derek.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
nowadays the people start exercising or they start to use the word diet when the scale
Uh,
goes up. So that's
yes,
not very healthy. But
yes,
viewers, you're watching this. This is Derrick Ong, dietitian, who is spending hours with us for the past 42 minutes on the topic of nutrition confusion.
yes,
Derek, we have a viewer right now by the name of
yes,
Ranjini, and she
yeah.
said, "Hi, Van and Derek. Nowadays, vegetarian stalls are having more dishes on vegan mock meat. Is it advisable?" So probably she's looking at the content, the
Yeah.
mixtures,
Okay.
additives.
So this depends on the mock meat. What do they use for the mock meat? Yeah. So there are some that I mean, if you look at some of the traditional kind of I'm more familiar with the Chinese vegetarian. Yeah. So because you use mock meat, I immediately it's very popular in Chinese vegetarian. They would use gluten, which is a type of protein that's derived from wheat and flour. So that's a lower quality kind of protein. Yeah. So probably not if you want to really kind of make sure you're getting the full spectrum of proteins, not the best. Of course, there are some, like the mock meats that are made of better quality plant-based proteins. So once you use a mixture of soy and then different legumes, peas and stuff like that, then that's probably nutritionally higher quality. Yeah. So I wouldn't totally rubbish them. I mean, you got to look and then ask, so what is your mock meat made of? Is it mainly gluten, or is it, there's you've got a mixture of other plant-based proteins? Yeah. So yeah, so that's yeah, I would start from
Thank you,
there.
Derek. Thank
Yep.
you, Ranjini, for the particular question.
Yep.
And as we dive in more deeper and
Mm.
deeper to the ocean, Derek, food like, we can't see what exactly is going in, especially when we take a fish ball. It tastes so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, after a couple of fish balls and the soup,
Mm.
I mean, God knows what's inside.
Mm.
And then suddenly, I feel very dehydrated. I feel like
Ah.
drinking a full reservoir.
Yeah.
But think about it. It's only cost $3-4 for the
Yeah.
fishball soup.
Yeah.
Finish everything up, clean it up, finish
Yeah.
all the fish balls. And after that, you
Yeah.
feel so dehydrated. What
Yeah.
exactly is happening, Derek?
So we know that fish ball is actually fish balls are a form of processed meat. Okay. So we look at what's fish ball actually made of. So it's made of some fish meat, but then you mix it with flour, and then you've got to add salt inside as a form of processing and preservation. Okay. Um, so there is definitely it's quite high sodium. So that's one thing. and then you've got the soup, which again, you have to use sodium, you got to flavor it some way, see. So you got sodium plus sodium. So once you finish that, basically it's a huge sodium load. Okay. And then you become very thirsty because your body senses a sodium load. It needs to get rid of excess sodium. So your body needs to maintain a certain level of sodium. Okay? So then through certain mechanisms, which I won't go through, the body signals, okay, okay, time drink more water. Then after that, then you will pass it out in the urine. Okay, your body is wants to maintain a certain level called homeostasis. So your body is very good at maintaining a moderation. You see, so even the body knows what moderation is. It does not go to extremes. It wants to, yeah. So, and some people are just more sodium sensitive than others. Okay, so again, we're talking about genetics, right? Yeah, some people can get away with eating large amounts of sodium and not have their blood pressure go through the roof. Where some people just a little bit of sodium, and no, they're like, the blood pressure already goes up, they're being thirsty. So unfortunately, life is not very fair in a sense, So, and then so for this group of people who are more sodium sensitive, and this one we find out through a genetic test, then we'll say, focus more on processed meat, and then what are the main sources of sodium in the diet. Let's see how we can cut that down, not totally, again, not to say you can't eat fish balls forever. That's not what we're saying, but how many times are you eating it in a week? Can we reduce that, or can replace that something, or maybe taking sliced fish soup rather than fish ball soup. Okay, at least you reduce some of the sodium. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Derek, for that particular answers that you're given for viewers. We have another question here. Hi, Derek. What are the signs and symptoms of not eating enough of certain nutrition?
Okay, yeah.
I know this can
Wow,
be very deep, but maybe you are the
we
expert, Derek.
just yeah. So we'll just take one example because there are too many nutrients here. Let's say, for instance, let's take example of iron, for instance. Okay, so iron deficiency is actually pretty common. It's common in certain groups of people, among women, among people who follow plant-based diets, and yeah. So what are signs symptoms of iron deficiency? You start feeling very tired, fatigued, skin may be, pale, and then you may fall sick more frequently. Yeah. And then that's when, if you do have signs and symptoms, you go for blood checkup, and then you can find, oh,
Yeah.
your iron levels low. Yeah. And then there's dietary ways we can kind of manage that as well. So that's just one example. Some nutrients, you can't really tell just by feeling. Okay, yeah, there are certain things is that, oh, I'm actually fine, you see, but it's kind of takes a bit of a longer time to kind of show effect. For instance, like vitamin D, for instance, which has become very, very popular because of COVID. You see, a lot of people are actually vitamin D deficient without them knowing, because they just go about their normal
Mhm.
lives, there's no problem. Um but then let's say they get COVID, and then we know that those with low vitamin D, they get COVID. There's chances of getting severe COVID, is much, much higher. See, yeah, and then that's when. But then sometimes a bit too little, too late to see. Yeah, so some things you won't know, see, until something hits you, lah. Yeah, so that's why it's
Thank
it's,
you,
it's
Derek.
important. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you for that. And of course, as what Derek has explained very clearly, I mean, you need to understand about your body. It's just that at all times the body is communicating with us. It's just that we
mm,
refuse to listen. Then when the issue comes in, then we said, "Oh, I got a bone pain. I go to need to see a orthopedic. Oh, my
yeah,
heart is blood pressure is all around. Then I go to see a cardiologist."
mm,
But then you should be able to understand. So yearly checkup is very important.
yes,
And
yeah,
also to understand for your body type, what kind of food is
yeah,
good, like what Derek has just
mhm,
explained. So
yeah,
seeing a dietitian is also very important, just to make sure that you know what you're putting inside these precious body or temple or whatever you want to call it, church or mosque or whatever. It's a beautiful system that we have that is constantly working for us. But if we start putting in rubbish and we don't understand that, that is the time that the body decide not to communicate with us. So people watching this, you know what to do. Please do your medical screening, do your medical checkups yearly, speak with Derek, understand about your body type, know what to eat. Because nowadays, Derek, it seems like
mm,
food is the medicine right now. Last time
Yeah.
medicine was the food, but right now
Yeah.
people are getting into more into this awareness of eat right. And I think that is
Yes.
exactly your consultancy is about. Eat right nutrition.
Yeah. 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 So talking about food as medicine, maybe I'll just talk a little bit about my recent experience with COVID. Yeah. So I just recovered from COVID actually just sort of recently, and so along the way, so the meals I was eating was, that was supporting my recovery. The meals that you saw, see, so the balanced meal, the brown rice, the proteins, um, the veggies for antioxidants. Yeah, so the proteins was helping me to preserve muscle mass because I was stuck in my room, and I needed to kind of do as much to preserve muscle mass. I wasn't moving around so much, so I didn't eat so much rice and carbs. Yeah, but I still had some. And then also I did quite a bit of supplementation during this period. Okay, so more vitamin C, D, zinc, and then fish oil as well to reduce inflammation. So um, that was how I used nutrition to help me recover from COVID better. I'm have to say that I felt very well. I only had a bit of cough and bit of phlegm. I did not have the sore throat. I did not feel lethargic. I did not have fever. And yeah, it was it was very mild, you see. And I believe nutrition was a large part of that.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you. I think viewers are engaging you with more questions that's coming
Yeah,
up. Viewers, we have another about 10 minutes. So if you do have any more questions, please roll it out, type it out. Please share the video so that your loved ones or anybody who in your friend list may need Derek's assistances for them to live better, eat better. Don't go on diets. Go and see a great nutritionist or even a dietitian to have your correct amount of food intake at the same time. Know your body type. So we have Shakespeare King. Thank you, Shakespeare King, for your supportive over Kopi with Vans and with Derrick's speech on nutrition confusion. So, Derrick, any good advice for Muslim fitness enthusiasts on how to maintain muscle mass and strength during Ramadan? Because our friends,
yeah,
our fellow friends, go
mm,
on a fasting every year. So those who are
yes,
in the certain routine exercises, they go
mm,
into fasting. So they may
yeah,
feel lethargic and feel
mm,
hungry, but they still, with the greatest faith, with the
sure,
religious purposes, they able
yeah.
to break their fast. But during that period, Derrick, how is it to be done? Or our viewer is asking us a question.
Yeah, so this is, of course, this is very this is very challenging, you see. So during Ramadan, because of the restriction in Ramadan is actually a form of intermittent fasting. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, you're given a window in which you could eat. So it is a form of intermittent fasting. So and it works for some people. Yeah. So I'd say during that short window of that, that 8 hours, whatever you can eat, make sure, okay, maintaining muscle mass, the protein intake has to go up during this period. Yeah. So because your overall calorie intake is definitely going to go down. Some people still maintain exercise regime during Ramadan. I take my hat off to them. Some people will taper off, so you can to kind of do a bit of fine tuning. But definitely, the protein has to go up significantly, and then you've got to make the most of that, of the eating window. Your breakfast, and then maybe it's called sahur, right? Yeah, and then the early morning meal. That's hot. Got to be got to be very 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 nutritious, high in protein, and then you try to have a snack in between as well, and you try to get your fruits and veggies and all that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that really is the way lah. Yeah. To kind of take. Yeah, so the micros and macros, yeah, definitely. As well, it depends on how much your stomach is able to manage. I mean, there's only so much that you can eat, you see. Yeah, but definitely I would actually increase the I would increase protein intake significantly, any 1.5 times to 2 times the normal kind of protein intake um during the time of Ramadan. Yeah. Yeah. um among other things. Yeah, right.
Thank you,
And
Derrick.
of course, yeah. Mm.
Thank you. So Derek, we are going to go for another one more question here. Does
Yeah, sure.
snacking throughout the day increase our
Increase
metabolism
our
rate?
metabolism. Yeah.
Metabolism.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So then there's different sorts of schools of thought. Yeah. So there is something called thermic effect of food. So when you eat and you digest the food, you actually burn calories. Believe it or not, the act of digestion does burn calories. Yes, so snacking through the day does increase our metabolism. But if you're going to be burning, if you're going to be snacking high calorie snacks, then probably it's, the amount of calories that you input is going to be, so much more than what you're going to be burning through the thermic effect of food through digestion. Yeah. Then it may negate the increases in the, the metabolism. Yeah. So the thermic effect food does have just a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it could work for you. Yeah. But be
Thank you,
careful.
Derek.
You got to
Thank
choose
you.
the healthier snacks. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Shalin, for that particular question. As we can see, a lot of viewers are right now very interested and excited to know
Mm,
about food. They want to know about their diet. I mean, like you said very beautifully, the word diet has to be changed.
yeah.
Psychologically, when someone says diet, go on a diet. Oh, I
Yeah.
should refrain from the food. So the brain starts, all our hormones start to go in a haywire,
Yeah.
in a path, and our
Yeah.
dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, even our endorphins are just crazily going into a sad mode, right? When you
Yeah.
say don't go on a diet. Thank you, Derek, for this past almost 1 hour of your precious time with us for second time round at Kopi with Vans. Before we just going to end our session in a few more minutes and waiting for final questions from our viewers. It's a personal question, Derek, that we are not planned for. As much as we evolve in our food, especially in Singapore, we live in, it's a multicultural with tons of food. On a hot day, right? On a perfectly hot day, I'm exhausted, I'm dehydrated, and I walk into a place, I open up the refrigerator, I see a lots of full sugar. So basically, it is something that I need to replenish myself quickly. So it is a little psychology as well, in terms of food discipline, and someone have to make sure that they don't go over their budget in terms of how many grams of sugar I should take or how much of
Mm,
carbs I'm going to take. So
yeah.
eventually, if you look at it, the pandemic is actually increasing in weight gain.
Yes.
People are actually
Yep.
becoming more gain weight,
Mm,
weight
mm,
more.
yeah.
And the movements, because we have elevators, bus, MRT,
Mm,
escalators to make us be comfortable. So do you think that, even though our local government is pushing a lot on SG Active, and even our health promotion board are very strict about the food that we Singaporeans are eating, and
mm,
even
mm,
certain drinks, if you look at it, the amount of sugar level is
yeah.
reduced. Some are
Yeah.
less sugar, some are zero sugar. Where are
Yeah.
we heading in terms of our generation if we don't have a certain discipline, as diabetes is always in the high rise in Singapore, and
Mm,
obesity as well?
yeah.
Where are we heading if we don't have the discipline in the upcoming years or even for our next generation?
Yeah. So then, Sajid, I just want to say that actually not everyone put on weight during COVID. Actually, some people actually lost weight because some people actually increased the physical activity. They started doing more meal prep. So it's it wasn't always, weight gain is not always inevitable in a pandemic. Yeah. But I see where you're coming from. Um the government, the authorities want us to eat healthier and stuff like that, because diabetes does come with a big healthcare cost, you see. So um so I think, the way I would see it is that, um building a good relationship with food, again coming back to the whole thing, loving our food, loving our food culture. We've got a great food culture in Singapore. I don't want to see it go away. I still want my char kway teow occasionally. I still love my, you know um wonton mee and everything. I still love that. That's part of being Singaporean, you see. But again, how do we have, a bit in that moderation, you see? Yeah. Again, having, so maybe occasionally I'll treat myself to this or that, but then 70 80% of time there's a certain base. I build a solid base. I know fruits, veggies, my whole grains, my proteins, whatever. I know my base. Then after that, then the 20 30% is discretionary, you see. Yeah. So having that more balanced, sensible approach and sustainable approach. Yeah. So the thing is sustainability. Ask yourself, if you go down a certain way of eating, is this sustainable? Is this something you can do in the long run? You see, yeah. Ask yourself honestly, lah. Yeah, yeah. So I that's where I would come from.
Thank you, Derek. We just have one more viewer on a particular question. I think we should take this. Of course, as we talk about all the favorite foods around us all the time and making us, great appetite for the food. So our lens too has asked us, Derek, what
Yeah.
are some examples of food which are lower in calories and yet have a high level of satiation?
Yeah, so these are the foods that are lower calories. So they tend to be the foods that are higher in fiber. Yeah, higher in fiber and higher in lean protein. Yeah. So I would, there's examples. So from um we talk about, for instance, like legumes, nuts and legumes actually are very high in fiber and protein, and they are very very satiating as well. See, and the calories aren't that all that high. See, so I'd say, take more plant-based protein, especially from the pulses and legumes. Yeah, so that's one example. Other examples, of course, you've got your fruits and veggies. See, yeah, so it tend to be quite high fiber. The calorie density isn't very high, for most of them. So those are kind of stuff, you see. And then, of course, with the protein foods, you see, like lean protein. Okay. So we've got, for instance, the humble egg, for instance. Yeah. um yeah, so that's one. Of course, some people take chicken breast. After a while it gets a bit boring. That's one. But that's there's so many other kinds of things you can actually eat, but just couple examples. Yeah. Higher fiber stuff. So again, your whole grains, yeah. So your multigrain bread, brown rice, yeah, yeah. So you don't need to eat a lot to be full. See, yeah,
Thank you, Derek, for spending your precious 1 hour of your time with us at Kopi Events. Derek, before we sign off, any quotes for viewers or how they can connect with you if they want to, make sure that they are eating right, how they
yeah.
can connect with you and any quotes that you have for our viewers.
Sure. Yeah. So you can connect with me. So you can go to our website. So that's www.eatright.sg. Yeah. So that's Eat Right Nutrition Consultancy. And then we are on both on Facebook as well as Instagram. You can private message us there. You can book appointments. I see face to face as well as virtually as well. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's, in terms of connecting with me. And then I guess for code is, again, um being happy being happy with who you are, having a good relationship with food. So I think the thing I would like to, kind of leave with everyone is, question is, what is your relationship with food? Yeah, I think that's something uh to think about. What is your relationship with food? Because a good relationship with food means you have a good relationship with your body, a good relationship with yourself. Yeah, and then you will achieve, and a lot of these things will actually kind of settle themselves. Yeah.
Thank you, Derek,
Mm.
for that amazing 1 hour of engagement of your
Yeah.
expertise with our viewers and with me, Kopi Events. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And happy Dietitian Day on the 9th of March. And the whole month of March is, of course, is dedicated to the
Nutrition.
awareness of health and food and nutrition as well.
Yeah.
You said it very well. Have a good connection, love your food, but understand deficit versus deposit. It's better to get checked with a
Yeah.
nutritionist or dietitian to make sure that
Yeah.
you know what you're putting inside,
Yeah.
and do not try to go on a certain diet which you just read about, or when your friends say, what, I lost 20 kg, don't eat anything for 15 days, you will lose 30 kg. Some kind of weird diets
Yeah.
and gurus out there. So please be very careful. Thank you, Derek, for your
Thanks with
one
you.
hour of your precious time. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We will definitely get connected,
Yeah.
and we wish you all the best on your job, and of course for helping out more people to create this awareness.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Vance. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you,
everyone.
Derek.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's Derek Ong, the principal dietitian at Eat Right, also the founder at Nutrition Consultancy. Thank you, viewers. Thank you so much for all the messages that's coming in. Yes, when we talk about nutrition topic, it can just go hours and hours and hours. In fact, I and Derek share the same vision, right? The word diet is actually pretty much very depressing. You all know that as a coach, past 23 years, I don't use the word diet. I always say good balanced food. Let's go for some coffee. Let's go for some good food. But try to understand that. And that's what exactly how beautiful, Derrick has put in. But food is not just about filling up your stomach. It's about filling your nutrition. It's about filling your vitamins, your minerals, your irons, your fibers, your carbohydrates. But unfortunately, when we say diet, we just restrain from all kind of food, and then we go into a depression in terms of food. You see, Derrick said, "Food is love. Love is food." If we don't love our food, I think it's going to be very, very depressing. As I shared with Derrick on the aspect of how we should be. Okay, just hang on. I'm just going to get his website so that if you guys have any questions or if you want to engage on a certain diet for yourself, we shouldn't be using the word diet. Yes, a food for yourself, and not really getting fixed, but make sure that you know what you're putting in the right amount of food. So there is the website of Derrick Ong, www.eatright.sg. As I was saying, in the past 23 years, as a coach, go through a lot of people, just want to get to lose weight, or some who just want to gain weight. But I think nutrition is something very important. It's about your liver, it's about your kidney, it's about your pancreas, it's about your lungs, it's about your cells, it's about your blood. Oh my God, we can just keep on talking about nutrition. And at the same time, we need to love our local nasi lemak. You cannot go avoid it. You can't avoid that, right? At the same time, we love our chicken rice, Chinese chicken rice, Hainanese chicken rice. At the same time, we can't avoid our Malay brothers and sisters from nasi lemak. And of course, the famous ever, the Indian mee goreng, mama mee goreng, or the Indian food, the banana leaf. So foods are always around us. But if we understand the deficit versus the deposit and the amount of calories that you're putting in, the number of nutrition that you're putting in, the right amount of food that you're putting in, not overdoing it, because whatever we are going to eat right now, abuse of system, it's definitely going to show us in the next 20, 30 years, probably even earlier right now. You hear all these cases right now, people having a diabetes at the age of 20, 25, people having a myocardium infarctions, heart attack at the age of 20, 25, 30. We used to see these numbers at 50s and 60s and 70s. Oh, this is for old people. No, no, no. It is for the young people as well, because of the stress that we are going through, because of the food that we are just getting because of stress. We are eating because of stress. Just give you an example before we end the show. You're going for lunch, stressful day, weather is just crazy, feeling humid, you're feeling hungry, or you're feeling frustrated over work that you need to get it done, and then you go to a coffee shop, there's Yong Tau Foo, there's mee goreng. Definitely you'll go for your mee goreng because your body will crave for that amount of calories with that high amount of content. And your body also understands the amount of taste. So we are going for taste in that emergency situation. But if we, like what Derrick said, it's all about psychology. If you eat an apple or drink some water before you go for your lunch, you feel like, maybe I just want to take some sandwich. So this is how you manipulate your body. But at the same time, understand what is the requirement. And so as usual, thank you, people. You can also engage Derrick in Instagram. I'm just going to flash that as well, just in case if you have any question that you want to ask him. Let me just pull up the thing. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, Derrick, Eat Right at SG. So this is his Insta. You can look upon him at there. I follow him very closely. He was preparing for his manhunt. He was a man who's like spending time in the gym, working out, and at the same time, eating a very nutritious meal as well. He's setting up a very great example as a dietitian, as a person, and he loves the food. I think everybody is going to love him for what he said. Love your food. Okay, people, thank you so much. We also have Eat. Just hang on, I'm just pulling up that information as well. You can look up for him in both Insta and Facebook as well. I'm going to get it another one here. Okay, the food doctor. There we go. At Derrick _the_food_doctor. All right, look up if you need any assistance from Derrick. This is your Coach Vance. Oh, no, I shouldn't be using coach. Coach is 9 to 5. Yeah, this is Kopi with Vans. Vans here. Join me on my next topic. I can't can't stop saying the word coach. It's so seasoned, right? So yes, join me on my next topic next Wednesday. Something very interesting we have planned for with a great speaker. We are just diving in, throwing some ideas, picking on the brains to bring an interesting topic for viewers, especially at Kopi With Vans. Thank you so much for all the love messages that came in. Thank you, guys. Thank you, CCNE. Shakespeare, I love your name, man. Shakespeare King. I need to go and understand and read a book. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ravi is a great friend of mine. Thank you so much, Deepam, and so many who just sending their loves and appreciation. As usual, catch me on the next topic next week at Kopi with Vans, 9 p.m. I'll be here. You be here. I'll be catching you soon. For now, adios, amigos.